what's going on. So I decided that I'm going to use Twitch and use my VODs to do like deck profiles for Master Duel and do stuff like that with this. I feel it'll be a lot easier to make videos this way by using this, because I still have the layout. I can have where's the top, in the top. In the top, like right above me, this way. I know it's hard to see. I'm going to come up with a better design. I'm still working on how to do that. I'm not very good at this yet, but we're working on it. So the deck I wanted to go over with you guys is Generaider Shadal. So this deck came to me from a friend on Discord named Trouble. He's like, hey dude, I know you like playing Shaddolls, I know you like, you know, all that, and I was like, yeah, Shaddolls is my favorite archetype, Construct is my favorite card, so I was like, oh, yeah, and he's like, I got a list for you that's a little different, and it's like master control, it uses generators. Nobody really uses generators, and I myself have not played the physical CG in years, but I've always followed it, so I knew who the Generaider were, but I didn't really know how they played. So he sent me the list, and again, I made a few adjustments because either one, I didn't have the budget, and two, I kind of changed the back row a little bit to my style of play, which is a little bit more with the solemn and stuff like that, and Harpy's Feather, but yeah, so this is the list. I'm going to go over it real quick. I'm going to show you a couple replays. I put a list on my phone of replays I wanted to go over because they kind of show the deck. But yeah, here we go. And again, this is going to be live now, but then later I'm going to go to a video on demand on YouTube, and so you can watch it there too, and you can also watch it on the video on demand here. But yeah, so you run one Maxi, and everybody knows what Maxi does. Every time an opponent summons a special summons a monster, you can draw a card. It's just like a hand trap to kind of block it. Ash Blossom of the Joyous Spring, everybody knows what this does. It can block a card from being added from the deck to the hand, a special summon from the deck, or a card going to the graveyard. I run 3 of those. The rest Shadal Windy, and she's a flip monster, and you can special summon one Shadal monster from your deck in a face up or face down position when she is flipped, and also when she is sent to the graveyard by card effect, which is, she could be fusion summoned, she could be, you know, destroyed by a card, things like that. She could also summon one Shadal monster from your deck face down, and you can only use that once per turn. Shadal Squamata, it's a flip monster again, and you can target one monster on the field and destroy it if it's flipped. Inverse, if it's sent to the graveyard by card effect, you can send one Shadal monster from your deck to the graveyard, and that would also trigger their abilities as well. Then there's Shadal Dragon, which is a flip. You can target one card your opponent controls and return it to their hand on flip. Or if it's put in the graveyard by card effect, you can target one spell or trap on the field, destroy it, and you can only use it once per turn. Ariel, Null Shadal Ariel, you can flip it, and she special summons a banished Shadal, which becomes important when you're using Schism. And if it's sent to the graveyard, you can target 3 cards in the graveyard, either graveyard, and banish them, which is good against something like Eldic, and I know I called it Eldic, and that's for a reason. And like Sky Strikers and stuff, you can send their main units to be banished, and then they're kind of screwed. Now we get into the generators. This is Lofter, Shadow the Generator bosses. Control 1 Generator monsters gain 1,000 attack and 1,000 defense, and that's during your opponent's turn only, so not during your turn, but during your opponent's, and during the main turn. To special a level 9 Generaider monster of a different name from your deck. So it's super cool, you can only use it once per turn, but guess what? When you have Generator tokens on the field, you can use the Generator token as the tribute. So there's 3 of him, because he's probably the most important card in this engine. And then the other Shadal monster, Shadal Beast, and when you flip, you can draw 2 cards and discard 1, and by discarding that one, you trigger card effect, or you can, you know, basically manipulate your hand a little bit But if he goes to the graveyard by card effect, you can draw a card. So you can use him as a draw engine early if you like Foolish Burial, or if he's something like that. You could fusion him. I was trying to say poly him, but fusion him, and you can use his effect if you need cards and things like that. The next card is Martell, Generator, Boss of Light, and you can only control one at a time, and that's the theme with all the generators. You can have generate a card or a plant monster from your deck to your hand, except Martell, and you can only use that once per turn. So she is an engine starter. She is basically used to get boss stage, boss fight, or boss room, and get them out so you can use them as you need them. The next card is Frody, which is the Generator, Boss of Swords. You can only control one at a time. You can tribute any number of Generator monsters and or warrior monsters, then target that many monsters on the field and destroy them, and then your opponent draws that many cards numbered to the equal monsters that destroyed. So yeah, you're giving your opponent advantage by giving them hand advantage, but you're also taking away their field at the same time, and again, you can tribute tokens for these effects. I run 2 of her. Nidhogg, Generator, Boss of Iron, and you can only control one at a time. Again, the theme of generators. And you can tribute any number of generator or machine monsters to special summon from your hand in defense position that many generator monsters with different names. So say you get like all your generators stuck in hand, but you can get Nidhogg on the field. You can tribute tokens or Nidhogg himself to get them on the field to use their effects. So the Nidhogg, again, you can only use him once per turn, and only have one on the field. When your opponent would special summon a monster, quick effect, you can tribute one generator monster or board monster, which is himself as well, to negate the summon, and if you do, destroy that monster, which is really nice if you're fighting somebody that uses the extra deck a lot. You can put him on the field, pop one of their big extra deck summons, or pop one of their big special summons, and you're good to go. Hela is the next Generator boss monster, and she's the Generator, Boss of Doom. And you can only control one at a time, but you can tribute one Generator monster or zombie monster, then target one Generator monster or zombie monster in your graveyard, and special summon them in defense position. So this is how you can recycle your generators that go to the grave. You can bring them back using Hela. This is the big boy of the deck, and he's Har, the Generator, Boss of Storms. He's really good, just based by himself, and once per turn, when your opponent adds a card from the deck to their hand, except during the draw phase. So during main phase, say they do something to pull a card to their hand, or you do something to make them pull a card to your hand, you can use Har's effect to make them send a monster from their hand or field to the graveyard, and it has to be a monster. So if they screw themselves by having so much spell cards in hand, and they're a big boss on the field, and you pull that effect off, they have to get rid of it. It has to go to the grave. And he also has a second ability, which can be used as a quick effect, and you can tribute 2 generator monsters or spellcaster monsters, which is great because some of the Shaddolls are spellcasters. You can negate activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So you can negate. It's almost a semi-omni negate if you contribute 2, and again, you contribute himself as well if you need to in a pinch, and it destroys the card. Works for a lot of different things. It's very funny. It's very pop. So let's go into the spells and traps, the back row. So this is one of my main back row cards, and it should be for everybody. It's a really good card in this meta, and it's Harpy's Feather Duster. It's a really good card in general. Destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. One that I use with this deck is Foolish Burial. Send one monster from your deck to your graveyard, and that's to get your Shaddolls going, to get their effects going, to get what you need. So basically you use the Shaddolls in your deck as a toolbox to respond to the situation. Terraforming, this is very important in this deck because you need the field spell on the field for this deck to really pop off, and that adds one field spell from your deck to your hand. I would like to run 2 Pot of Avarice here. I just don't have the materials right now to get it. My second one, and I don't really want to dust anything right now because I'm having fun playing multiple decks. But I would suggest 2 Pot of Avarice and maybe take out another card. But with Pot of Avarice, you target 5 monsters in your graveyard and you shuffle all 5 into your deck, and then you draw 2 cards. That's good to recycle Shaddolls, recycle, contributed generators, etc., so you can keep your engine running. Dark World Dealing is a very important card in this deck. Each player draws one card, and when they draw the card, you're going to activate effects like Hars, and when we get to the field spell, you're going to activate that because your opponent is drawing the card. And then every player has to discard one card. This is great if the opponent burns their hand as well. You can make them draw a card and then discard the card they just drawed. It's really nice, and then you trigger all the effects and you can go. I run that at 3. It's really good in my opinion. Shadal Fusion, very important if you're running Shaddolls. You don't need polymerization. I was thinking about running Super Poly, but I run it in like a side deck, which again, in this format, you don't really need a side deck, but I run it if I'm finding that I need it more often. But Shadal Fusion I like better. Fusion summon one Shadal monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. If your opponent controls a special summon from the extra deck, you can use the deck as well. So this is really nice if you go second and they like rush out all these extra deck monsters. You could just pop you could pop Construct out and get to work. Run that at 3. Generator Boss Quest. If you have a Generator in hand, up to 2 Generator spells or traps from with different names from your deck to your hand. So that can get you your boss stage, that can get you your boss fight, that can even get you your boss room. And then you put that generator that you revealed on the bottom of the deck. That works as well to cycle in if you get a +1 advantage. Generator Boss Stage. Once per turn, if a card is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, except during the damage step, you can special summon one generator monster from your deck in defense position. If you summon a generator monster during your opponent's turn, except during the damage step, you can summon as many special tokens, which are level 4 very light monsters, and they have 1500 attack and 1500 defense as possible in attack position, but destroy them at the end phase, even if this card leaves the field. You can only use this once per turn. This is the most important card in this deck. You want to get this card on the field as soon as possible, because when your opponent draws the draw phase, you can special summon, and when you special summon, then you can put all the tokens on the field and then use the tokens as sacrifices, or you can use them El Shadal Fusion, because they're light fairy monsters that they can use to make Construct as a quick effect. But you need to get this card on the field. That's what Terraforming's for. That's what Martell's for. That's what Boss Quest is for. And that's what one of the traps we're going to go over soon is for. You need to get this card on the field. It's what makes this engine run. Special summoning from the extra deck, you can special summon a level 9. If you have Lopter on the field already, then you can use this ability to get another level 9, and then your next turn you can Xyz into Calamities, into Infinity Track, and into Sacred Beast, and those are all important cards in this deck, though I haven't used them in most of my games. They're toolbox cards that can help you when necessary to get a win. But yeah, this is the most important card. You need to get this on the field. So if you don't get it in opening hand, but you have Lopter, you can summon Lopter and go into Martell, grab Boss Stage, put it on the field. If you have another generator in hand, you can grab Boss Quest, use Boss Quest to grab both Boss Stage and Boss Fight, and you'll see why we grab Boss Fight as well and put it on the field. But again, this is the best thing. You need to get this immediately on the field. If you have Terraforming, just Terraform into it. If you have Foolish Burial and nothing else, but you can send send Beast to the graveyard to draw and try to get your way into the engine. But the whole thing is you need to get this on the field as soon as possible. It's a quick play spell, which is awesome. Let's play fusions because during your opponent's turn. So say I have a token on the field and I have a Shadal monster in hand, I can get Construct very easily. Generator Boss Fight. Activate one generator field spell directly from your deck or graveyard, then your opponent draws one card. So say you have this on the field and they've just popped this the turn before, You could activate the trap, you could pull it from the graveyard, and then your opponent draws a card which activates which activates boss stage's effects. So this is a very, very important card. You need to run. I would run this at 3. I ran it at 2 to start the deck build, and I didn't like how it worked. It didn't work as consistently, so I would run it at 3 at all times. I would run boss stage at 3 at all times as well. Those are the 2 most important cards in this whole deck, in my opinion. Here's a card that I added in. So what I added in was Harpy's Feather Duster, El Shadal Fusion, and Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment: when a monster would be summoned or a spell trap card is activated, pay half your life points to negate it and then destroy the card. It's a nice background card. You could also run Solemn Strike. They're pretty much very similar cards. They basically protect your field from certain things, and I like that a lot. The next card is Generaider, Boss from Room. This is good to counter things in a chain, and it's very perfect because when your opponent activates a card or effect in response to the activation of a Generaider card or effect, so if you're popping off any of these effects from these units, or here, your boss fight or your boss stage, if those effects are going off and your opponent tries to counter it with, say, like an Ash or a Max C or a Negate, you can pop this off, and it basically changes that effect to each player draws a card. And you can only use it once per turn, but at that point, then your opponent's drawing a card, and then you can start going with Har's effect, or you can use boss stage's effect, and so it's just a way to keep cycling through. The last card in the main deck is Shadal Schism. During your main phase, you can fusion summon one Shadal monster from your extra deck by banishing materials listed from it on the field or in the graveyard, but it cannot attack directly. Then you can send one graveyard monster your opponent controls with the same attribute as a fusion. Keep popping out Shadal fusions. They can't directly attack, but if you pull out Construct, that doesn't matter. You want Construct for her effect. You don't want... Construct is a good boss monster because of her effect. So you can pull Construct onto the field and then roll with Construct, destroying extra deck or special summon monsters. Let's go into the extra deck. El Shadal Winda. This is one of the toolbox monsters. It's a Shadal monster in a fusion. She must be fusion summoned and cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. She can be destroyed by your own if you tribute her using Har's effect. Each player can only special summon one monster per turn while this card is face up on the field. And if it's sent to the graveyard, you can add a spell or trap in your graveyard back to the hand, so you can basically send El Shadal Fusion, El Shadal Fusion, or Shadal Schism back to the hand, which is nice. And she basically locks down an opponent that really wants to special summon, like in Link decks or Synchro decks, or something that's a massive combo deck. You could shut them down for a turn or two. I wouldn't recommend keeping her on the field longer than that, because then you can shut your own deck down. El Shadal Acapoloni, I can't pronounce that very well, but I run it at 1, and it's 2 Shadal monsters with different attributes. Cannot be destroyed by battle, and you can use each effect once per turn. If this card is special summoned, you can negate it. It is really nice to get through some of those effect monsters that use to mess up your field. And if this card is sent to the card, you can add a Shaddolls card into your hand. So basically, just again, recycling or card that you need, and then you have to discard one card. So as long as you have more than one card in hand, it works very well. Construct. This is my favorite card in overall. I just love this card. I love the art, and I love her ability. She's fusion summoned, and if she's special summoned, you can send one Shadal monster from you, or Shadal card from your graveyard, and that contributes to your effects. Damage that this card battles a special summon monster, destroy that monster. It could be anything, so it could be something so huge, like it could be an Xe summon 6000 attack monster. It could be one of those God knows how many attack, but if you can keep El Shadal Construct on the field to attack them, it automatically pops them, as long as they can be destroyed by card effect, which you can use something like run her too. And also, if she's sent to the graveyard, you can send a spell or trap in your graveyard back to your hand, so you basically can recycle and summon again. I can't pronounce this name, but it's a Shadal with a water monster. Neither player can special summon monsters from the hand or the graveyard using spell or trap effects. So then, it basically locks down both your boards, but it's a big body that can help you. And if it's sent to the graveyard, you can send one spell or trap. And that's, again, we use this only as we use and a lot of lists. Poloni and Winda are all used as like toolbox cards. If you're going to bring anything out and you want to bring out a Shadal monster, I would suggest always bringing out Construct. Going to choose these, and it's 2 level 9 monsters. If you notice, all the boss monsters are level 9, so if you get 2 of them on the field, you can get 2 of them on the field in turn. You can Xyz summon 2. You detach 1 material from this card and declare 1 attribute this turn. All face-up monsters on the field become this attribute. Also, all monsters in your opponent's possession with that attribute cannot activate their effects or attack. So, there you go. It basically locks down your opponent, and it's a 3,000, and you just swing and destroy things. Infinite Tracker Earth Slicer, again 2 level 9s. When this card destroys an opponent monster by battle, you can attach that monster to this card as material. And then you can only use each of the following effects once per turn. You can attach any number of materials, then target that many cards on the field and destroy them. And if this card is in your graveyard, you contribute 1 Machine Link monster to special summon it. I don't think we have any. Yeah, I don't have any Machine Links, so you can't re-special summon it, but you could attach materials and just keep popping cards on the field. That's really, really good, really control related. Again, I've used it like once in one game, and I've used Calamities maybe once. If anything, this is the card I go into most. Sacred Tree Beast Hypertron. And during your turn, when you activate a card or effect, you can target 1 card of the same type in your graveyard and attach it as material, so you can keep adding materials of all different types, traps, spells, monsters, and then when a card or effect is during your opponent's turn, when they have a card or effect activated, you can detach 1 material of the same type, which is monster, spell, or trap. And if you do negate the activation, if it is negated, then you destroy it. So basically this becomes an omni-negate. You get that on the field right away, and you can just roll. You can just negate everything, because you have this, you have Har, you have Ashes, and it just becomes annoying for your opponent at that point. IP Masquerena, 2 non-link monsters. During your opponent's main phase, you can quick effect, which is Link special summon a Link monster, using this as material, and once per turn, and then that you can only do it once per turn, and then a Link monster that this card is used as material cannot be destroyed by your card effects. So you can use that to bring out like Access Code or Apalessa, or Boral Sword, even Nightmare Unicorn. I wouldn't use it to bring out, or you can use it to bring out Red Plant or Anaconda, which is what we'll talk about next. In this one, you can target 1 monster on the field. It becomes a dark type until the end of this turn, so you can use it to target anything to make Winda. You can pay 2,000 life points and send 1 fusion or polymerization, normal or quick play spell from your deck to the graveyard, and this becomes the spell's effect when activated. And you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn, and you can only use it once per turn. So you can use it to become any of your fusion cards, just pop them off when you need to that turn, and that's all you can do. Nightmare Unicorn. This card is Link Summon. You can discard 1 card, then target 1 card on the field and shuffle it into the deck. And if the card was co-linked when this effect was activated, you could draw a card. You can only use it once per turn, while any co-linked Nightmare monsters, which isn't going to affect us, are on the field for your normal draw phase. Draw 1 card for each different card name among those co-linked monsters. So you can just keep drawing cards, but we don't have any other Nightmare monsters. We use it to pop a card on the field. Boral Sword Dragon is 3 effect monsters. We have a lot of effect monsters in this deck. Actually, everything is an effect monster. This cannot be destroyed by battle, and once per turn, you can target 1 attack position monster, change it to defense position. Also, this card can make a 2nd attack during each battle phase this turn. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this activation, and once per turn, when this card declares on attack on a face-up monster, you can activate this effect until the end of this turn, and this card gains attack equal to half the monster's current attack, and if it does, the monster's attack is half. So you use this as a swing in for an endgame, pretty much. You lock your opponent's cards down, and then you just destroy them left and right. Apolessa Bow of the Goddess, and she's 2+ monsters with different aims except tokens. So you cannot use tokens for her, but you can use like IP and some of your other monsters that are on the field, and then basically the original attack of this card becomes 800 times the number of link materials used for this link summon. And once per chain, when your opponent activates a monster effect. So you can use this multiple times per turn. If there's multiple chains per turn, you basically remove 800 attack and negate the activation. So you can use it as many times as you need to, probably up to 4. I've used it a couple times just as like an Omni negate. Still a very good card, and then she could have high attack, or she just use her as a negate and then you swap her out for Access Code Talker. This card is Link Summon. You can target 1 Link monster that was used as material, and this card gains attack equal to that number's Link rating times 1000. So if it's a rank 4, he'll gain 4000 attack. If it's a 3, 3000, 2, 2000. I don't think I have anything less than a 2. So that's how that'll work. And then also you can banish 1 Link monster from your field or graveyard to destroy a card your opponent controls, and for the rest of the turn you cannot banish monsters with the same attribute. So you could just basically pop cards, and there it is. So there is the deck. That was a big long explanation. Again, it's a 41 card deck and a 15 card extra deck, but that's how it works. If you have any questions, let me know in comments or anything like that. But let's take a look. I have some replays I wanted to show. Let's get over to some replays. I saved them and I wrote some stuff down. So in this replay, we want to look at exactly how this deck works. Oops, let me scoot back up. So here we're going to see that I literally don't have what I'm looking for, and I want to get boss stage on the field. So I use Lottery to summon Martell. Martell gives me boss stage, which I could have also used and showed Lofter and used it to get me like, yeah. But I go straight into Construct, and I start just cycling through. So I'm using Winda to put a card on the field, put a monster. We're putting dragons, so if they get split, you can pop a monster on the field. I use dragon, I get a draw, and I get a Pot of Avarice, and as you can see, I'm basically putting every monster back in my graveyard, back into my deck. And I got boss fight, and that protects my boss stage. Oops. And as you can see, I pulled out, when the opponent drew, I could pull out a Lofter, and then I have my 2 tokens. Unfortunately, he has a card that destroys attack position monsters and it pisses me off. But I use Lofter to go into Har. And why did I go into Har? And he gives me a gate if anything comes on the field. I use Construct to give me my fusion back just in case. And he's playing Resonators. And as you can see, since my cards are going to become important, I know next turn I have a Lofter I can put on the field. But I decide to use Har to negate Red Dragon's effects, which in turn destroys it, and leave me again at the field. As an advantage, they have now burned a lot. I know next turn I can reload the field. I pull boss room, reset it down. I use boss fight to make them draw a card, which then activates my boss stage, which means I can put a unit on the field. But, of course, he has another trap, which is Torrential, and he's playing Young Yugi, and has every card he needs at the time. He uses a max C here, and I'm like, whatever. Here's where boss room comes into effect. And now I've negated that max C into just drawing one card, instead of drawing a card every time I special summon. I get straight into hard because I know he's playing Resonators, and I want to have field tokens on the field to negate right away. Oh, my goodness, I didn't even realize I was ducking down. But yeah, so he comes out here and he's going to try to start using effects, and here's hard negating those effects. And he has to ditch it. And so now he just equips a card on him, and he can't take out a token. And again, I'm like, oh my goodness, oh, so bad. I draw another boss fight, so I put it on the field to activate, and we're just gonna start swinging in. And as you notice, I get the buff for the opponent's turn. I use boss stage to bring out Nidhogg just in case he gets into his extra deck. I can negate the special summon. And here he goes trying to use a Resonator card. I summon 2 Resonators, and I'm like, nope, Hara's gonna pop that. Then he goes trying to pull out another Resonator using a Resonator call, and Ash is like, nope, we're gonna take care of that. And that's my end. Next game is right here. Let me see, I have one more I want to look at after this. Okay, so I got it. Let's take a look at this one. Ooh, doesn't look like a good hand for me. Wish I would have gone first, because then I could have started manipulating a lot of things better. But I went second, and I drew an Ash, which doesn't help, but I used Foolish Burial. If I need to draw a card, I send Beast in so I can draw. I get a Lopter. He's going to use an effect failure, but I can chain it and use Lopter's effect before he gets failed to summon Martell. And I'm like, cool, I can get a boss stage, right? I'm like, cool, let me get that. Ooh, we're going to effect fail that again, so I'm like, ooh, buddy, you're really hurting me here. So I set down my Schism just in case, and I'm just going to attack with Martell to get some damage in. He's like, okay bro, I'm going to play Lightning Blast, and I'm going to store your back row, but I'm like, nah, I'm going to use Schism first, just to get me a free summon. And there's my Shaddolls, because it's the only one I can summon. He's playing Sky Striker, so I'm like, ooh, this is going to be fun, you should have advantage. But he could attack directly, and I'm like, that's cool. Here's where I think he made a mistake, is he then burned. I would have stayed with Hayato on the field, but he goes with Kagari to pull a card out of his graveyard. I can help him later. I would have not done that if I were him. I would have used it here because I could just use Ash to negate it. So he basically looped it for nothing. And then he decides to go again into another link into Shizuku, which Shizuku can pull a card out of the deck in end phase. He pulls out a pop, so he can pop any unit on my field. I would have pulled that out myself. But here I decided to use El Shadal Fusion, because I have Aerial in hand. I can banish that Ray, and then he can't kind of switch out of it, and I go with Construct. So as long as I get rid of that Ray, I know he can't then start cycling between Ray and her armors. So he uses Ash to stop my Construct since I'm a part of the graveyard, but I really don't care. That's not my important issue. I want that Ray gone. And so as I destroy his Suzuki, he realizes that nothing's coming back, and then that's it. And the last one I want to look at right now it's against a Blue Eyes player. So let's take a look. Again, I made a mistake here. I could have used Raptor to start cycling through, but I didn't. I decided I'm going to do it using boss stage during my opponent's turn, which probably wasn't the smartest move to do. Where I should have gone Raptor to Martell and etc., and then I could have used boss fight next to get it going, but you know what, it works. I got boss stage on the field. I can activate its effects because, like, no, bro, I'm gonna give you Ash. I'm like, okay, well, I'm screwed this turn, which is why I should have done it earlier. Walker. But he goes into Link Garibo, which usually I would have saved that for Dragonstone, but then given the alternative. And he's already put me in a bad spot, but we're gonna go with it. I get Shadal Fusion, which is great because he has an extra death monster on the field and Link Garibo. And what are we going to? I just straight into Construct. Because Construct can just pop things on the field. I use Dragon's ability combined with Lopters. So Lopter is going to get me hard. So now I have a negate if I need it. Dragon pops for the spell card. Beast draws me a card. I get a Pot of Avarice. Doesn't matter. Construct's effect still goes off, and I just freed the field from Blue Eyes. And so we keep going. Here's where Lopter comes into effect. I bring a Lopter for the buff, and the ability to cycle through new ones. He puts down the White Stone, so I'm like, okay, you're gonna send it to the graveyard, but I'm gonna block you summoning anything with Ash right now. He uses a link, which is what you do. You link it out so you can pull Blue Eyes out during the end phase. It's like, boom, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna pull it back in, and I'm like, no, you're not. So I negate it with hard. And he just surrenders. So basically that's Generators mixed with Shaddolls, because they're fun. Let's take one quick look at it again. I'll put it on in the background again. So that's the deck. Oops. If you guys like it, give it a shot. It's super fun. It does take a little bit of a learning curve. It probably took me about, I would say, 10 games of practicing with it to learn the combos. I still don't know all the combos. I could probably play a lot better. Like I said in that Blue Eyes game, I could have played better. But hey, that's where we're at. So that is this deck. I will have another one soon. You'll probably see a similar format, and I'm not going to have like this deck list thing up here. I'm going to make it look a lot nicer. This is just me trying to make something to look good to go in that corner, so you guys can see what I'm playing. I'm just trying to figure out how I want to do it. But yeah, if you guys like this, you know, if you're on YouTube watching this, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. If you're here on Twitch watching this, just give me a follow. I don't stream as often as I should. I have 2 kids. For those new people who are watching this, I have 2 kids. They're 4 and 1, so I'm not always available to stream, and then sometimes I'm just too tired to stream even if I am available. But I will be around. I'm planning on playing a lot of Master Duel. Also, I do play JRPGs when I get a chance. And Teppen when I get a chance to stream, which is not very often, but I do. And I also do Final Fantasy 14. So if you like any of those things, you know, just leave me a little follow. We can see how it goes. Just stop by. It'll be fun. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys want to come back, I might be playing some more Master Duel right now, but I want to end this now so I can have the video on demand so I can transfer it over to YouTube. Thank you guys. I'm going to put a little ending here, and you guys have a good night. Maybe I'll see you guys in a couple minutes. We'll see how it goes. Good night. Or good day. Or whatever. It's all good. See you guys later.